right. Hello again, everyone. Good morning, and thank you all for joining us today. My name is Megan Mendiola, and I am a Regional Marketing Coordinator here at JMT. We're very excited to have our very own Andy Harleman here with us to lead us in today's webinar over the ultimate guide to improving your FQHC's bottom line with Sage Intacct. I want to share just a couple of housekeeping notes here before I turn it over to Andy. If you have any questions during the webinar today, please go ahead and submit them into the Q&A section on your control panel. We're going to go ahead and save all of the questions until the end of the webinar, but please don't hesitate to go ahead and submit them as you think of them, and we will get to them at the end. Also, just a quick reminder that we will send you both the slides and the recording of today's webinar within 24 hours after it has concluded. And now I just want to take a minute to introduce Andy Harleman to you all. Andy lives in St. Louis, and he is the Director of Sales here at JMT Consulting. He has an extensive nonprofit background as well. He helped found a social services agency and served as an administrative director there. He also served on the governing board of a nonprofit in St. Louis, and he has been consulting to nonprofits since 2006. And now, Andy, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you to get us started this morning.
Thank you very much, Megan. I appreciate it. Yeah, in the time I've been working here at JMT and consulting with nonprofits, we have worked with lots of different nonprofit organizations, but a very large number of FQHC and community health centers. And so over the years, we've been through a lot. I recall, some of you may remember, probably now 10 years ago, what they called the stimulus or the ARA funds. And I remember there was a big thing back then with a lot of technology solutions and that FQHCs were going for with like stimulus money and things like that. And we got to know FQHCs quite well back in those days, and I've worked with a lot of them. So we'll get into that here. And I just want to make sure, Megan, can you confirm you are seeing that?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Very good, thank you. So here's the goal. How can you have a modern, cutting-edge technology solution to serve you in your community health center? And this is an example of a dashboard of the kind of thing that you could have if you worked with a tool like Sage Intacct, which we're going to go through here today. As you can see, this isn't just good old-fashioned accounting with rows and columns and dollars and cents. There's a lot more to it. Very visually appealing dashboards, but mostly I think across the top you can see some examples of metrics and the kinds of metrics that perhaps you might want to track in your organization. This is just a sample of what it could look like for you. And this is the goal ultimately that we want to get you to. So let me first make sure that everyone understands who is JMT, who are these people who have invited me to a webinar. So JMT, our mission is to work with nonprofits. That's all we do. And so your mission is our business. And we have, over the almost 30 years in business, we have thousands of happy nonprofit clients, dozens of FQHCs that we've worked with. We're known for rapid and affordable implementations and for having a deep industry expertise that allows us to provide personalized service. We partner with world-class, cutting-edge, billion-dollar software companies like Sage Software, but JMT is an independent firm that's able to give you that deep expertise and that personalization. So it's really the best of both worlds. Within the FQHC world, we're known pretty well. We have a lot of clients in the FQHC space, but we're also known as the exclusive provider for Commonwealth Purchasing Group, who many of you probably already know as a GPO that serves the space. They actually started in Massachusetts with the Massachusetts League of Community Health Centers, who is also a JMT client. And we've worked with them for years and are very excited that we continue to have a relationship with them that allows us to provide very special pricing to members of Commonwealth. Anyway, JMT was built by a person who herself was a nonprofit finance expert, and she's built a team around her of people, others like herself. So Jackie, our founder, hence the name JMT, Jackie was herself a nonprofit finance person, multiple organizations, and she was a customer of a few technology implementations. And frankly, Jackie has some less than flattering words to say about what she experienced as a customer. And so back in '91, almost 30 years ago, Jackie founded JMT with the idea that A, nonprofits deserve far better than what she got when she was a customer, and B, that she could do that. she could do better than what she had received. And so JMT has been around now almost 3 decades doing just that. We were founded in the New York area. You can see we've grown. We have offices all over, but mostly we come to you. Wherever you are, we come to you. Now, in these days of COVID, we've been able to adapt and do a lot of the stuff on Zoom, but the idea is we're going to personalize our approach and work with you on your turf. And so, yes, we have physical offices, but very rarely do our clients come to those offices. In fact, we usually go to you. So we will come to you wherever you might be. We even have an office in Australia. These are some of the clients that we have who are very happy JMT clients. Some of them, as you can see, are community health centers. Just a few examples here and a few more here of the organizations that have worked with JMT and trusted us over the years. We always like to say, hey, I can tell you how great we are all day long, but ask one of our clients. This is Anthony from one of our clients in New York, who talks about the fact that we identify the needs of a nonprofit, and we really focus on what is exactly the right process for you. And this doesn't matter whether you're an FQHC or any other type of nonprofit. The process is the same, and JMT understands your organization, understands the unique things that go with nonprofit and community health finance. And so it's the root of that, of the good implementation, is understanding what's going on with your organization. So I want to emphasize, JMT is an independent firm. We are not a software publisher, and here's why that should matter to you. So a software publisher does really good job making software, publishing software. Their commitment is really to just sell as many boxes as they can or as many subscriptions as they can. JMT, our commitment is to you. Our business is built on serving our customer. We go out and we monitor the marketplace. We know what technology is out there. JMT is an independent firm you can read accolades about us in industry magazines and things like that. We could partner with any software we want to. In fact, most of them call us on a pretty regular basis asking us to partner with them too. And so the ones we work with, in this case, Sage Intacct, we're going to talk about today, there's a really good reason for that. JMT knows nonprofits. JMT understands the technology marketplace. And so our choice to work with Intacct in this case, or any other tools we work with, is based on that knowledge. And we curate only the best solutions for nonprofits. We assemble a really perfect for you solution with an ecosystem of best-in-class partners. We don't believe in a situation in which one name brand is going to have all the right software tools for every department in an organization. So neither does Sage Intacct, which is why we find a really good fit with them. We're going to talk about that today. So here's how we support you. If you think about the spectrum of all the kinds of back office processes that may go on at your organization, JMT has products that address this entire spectrum, as you can see here. And so we're going to talk today about this piece here about Sage Intacct and how it works with the whole spectrum. Now, the other thing to keep in mind, though, is what's nice about a tool like Sage Intacct is that Sage Intacct allows you to work with any other tools that you may have. It doesn't have to be one of these other logos. For example, most of you have EHR systems. In fact, all of you do if you're an FQHC because you're required to. And EHR that does most of your billing. Sage Intacct is able to play nicely with others and pull data in from tools like that as well. So that's one of the reasons that we really like it. Again, one of our clients, he's not an FQHC, but he serves the vulnerable population in the New York area, cancer patients. And he talked about our onboarding process. We really appreciate what he said here, how we help set up the system exactly right for his organization and how we can do that for you. One of the things that we've all learned here in these past few unfortunate months that we've lived through, there is absolutely no excuse for working with outdated technology. I think that's become painfully obvious to everyone. I'm afraid that probably some of you on this call are still using on-premise software, and when you were forced to work from home, I can only imagine the disruption to your organization. Or maybe you were trying to dial in with a VPN or some sort of outdated technology connection. I think we've all learned you've got to have the latest, the greatest, the most cutting-edge technology in 2020 because we just don't know if a situation like this could happen again. The other thing is, in your organization, in an FQHC, you've got to have other required functionality. Forgetting about technology and what makes it happen, these are the kinds of things that you've got to have in your software to do the kinds of reports that you have to do as a government-funded FQHC. So what you'll find is that the chart design in Sage Intacct will allow you to do the things you see on the screen, whether it's the basics of just grant reporting, whether it's the cost reporting, of course, the Table 9A from the UDS report, your required nonprofit financials that are really nothing to do with FQHC, but then other important things beyond just basics of accounting, like payer revenue mix, service revenue mix, KPIs, like some of the ones you saw on that screen earlier, where you're able to track things like encounters or the physician FTEs and number of patients served, et cetera. All this is possible in Sage Intacct. So specifically what it does is it has an open platform, and it has APIs that enable you to get data from other sources. I mentioned EHR systems. Every health center does their billing over in their EHR. Maybe you just want to send a general ledger file over with your revenues or your receivables over to your general ledger. Sage Intacct has an open API enabling that. Every organization obviously has to do payroll. There are many, many great payroll providers out there. Sage Intacct's open API allows that to pull in, and even fundraising and donor database. Sage Intacct is HIPAA compliant. It is the only nonprofit mid-market cloud-based accounting software that is HIPAA compliant. And most importantly, the reason JMT began partnering with Sage Intacct 10 years ago is it has a dimensional, table-driven chart of accounts. That's what allows you to do things like segment your revenues and expenditures by grants or service line or location or any other way that you need to segment it. And that power, that table-driven chart of accounts is really what's behind all of the reporting that this tool provides for you. So you've seen this dashboard before, but I want to point out that Sage Intacct is also the first and only financial management solution that is preferred by the AICPA. So what you can imagine with that, what that means is all kinds of good stuff, like people often say, how's the audit trail? And the snarky response is, hey, the AICPA is a preferred, this is their preferred solution. How do you think a bunch of CPAs would expect the audit trail to be in Sage Intacct? And so it has great audit trails and all the things you would expect with that. And then it is continually ranked the #1 tool for customer satisfaction. This isn't just, hey, does it have, rankings on other areas. It's rankings on actually what the real customers think, and that's what G2 Crowd does. I'll get more to that in just a minute. So some of the things I mentioned before, metrics that really matter for your organization. Traditionally, accounting software was able to do great things like revenues and expenditures by grants, and that's important. But what about more important metrics? What about things that tell the story? What about things that help you to actually plan? This is an example, not of an FQHC. I will say it was from a behavioral health organization. Many of you have behavioral health components to your organization as well. This is an actual dashboard we set up for someone who became our client, because what they talked to us about was the fact that their board would give them a revenue goal, and they would need to understand what they had to do in the business to plan to make that revenue goal. And for them, that revenue per clinician metric was critically important. They knew what the average revenue generated by clinician was, and therefore they could look at the number of clinicians they had, and they could look at their revenue goal, and that could make their determination as to how many new clinicians they needed to hire to make their new revenue goal, as an example. This is something that we demoed for them, and then they made it a reality. So these are the kinds of things you can do with metrics that truly matter in your organization. Reporting. This is an actual screenshot of a statement of revenues and expenditures right out of Intacct. One of the things you'll notice is that there are color scales, because you can actually do things like what they call conditional highlighting. So it really points out the numbers that matter, that have materiality behind them. You can use all kinds of different colors. I'll give you an example. Red. You can use red for bad, and it can be really dark red if it's really bad, and it can be lighter red if it's just sort of bad. And what's nice about that is it helps you to educate people outside of finance on how to look at what really matters on your financial reports, because as you know, many of your program people, maybe your clinicians or physicians, maybe even some of your board members aren't really conversant, I should say, at reading financial reports like you are in finance, and they may be a little overwhelmed by seeing a whole bunch of numbers on a page. Well, this allows you to help them to see what's really material and what really matters in the organization. So this is an example of an actual report. Behind all of these reports, you have the ability to actually drill into this all the way down to the general ledger transaction level detail behind the numbers in that report. This is an actual example of that. You click on one of these numbers in this report, it opens another browser window because this is browser-based, true native cloud technology. And then you can see the actual detail behind it. And if you wanted to, I can't, this is just a screenshot, but you could drill further into any of these numbers where you see a blue like this 750 here. So you're able to get visibility in a way that you really can't with a lot of traditional legacy systems. That to get that level of detail, you might have to run a different report or close out of what you're doing and go somewhere else in the software to see that report. This allows you to drill right into that. With multiple monitors, you can even drag this sub window onto another monitor, and there you've got the visibility on one screen, the detail behind it, while still keeping the report open on another. That's what's possible in a tool like Sage Intacct. So again, I've told you how great it is, but if you go out to G2 Crowd, G2 Crowd is a website that verifies actual users and asks them to rank the software. And so the actual users continually give Sage Intacct the #1 position in customer satisfaction year after year after year. And it just came out again here recently in 2020. They do it multiple times a year usually. This is the actual grid for nonprofit accounting software. You can see multiple logos here, Sage Intacct. The axis on the bottom is customer satisfaction. All the way to the right, the furthest to the right, Sage Intacct, without question, is the leader in customer satisfaction. So to me, that's what really matters, because at JMT, we've seen so many technology solutions out there. Some of them are popular, like you can see market presence is one of the areas, but some of them are popular, some of them are powerful, but they're not user-friendly. And so I always say, don't ask me, ask the users themselves. JMT chose to partner with Sage Intacct because Sage Intacct is so user-friendly in part. And so this is a really big metric that verifies that choice that we made to continue to partner with Sage Intacct. The other thing I want to emphasize here is technology. Most of the people who come to these webinars are finance. And I understand over the years in finance, you've been able to focus on, understandably, you focus on finance. You're not IT, you're not technical people, I understand that. But I think all of us as buyers of any technology solution, whether it's in our business lives or in our personal lives, need to be aware that technology changes very quickly. And we all, I think, can probably think of personal examples where perhaps we haven't invested in the latest, greatest, and we found ourselves maybe driving an old car with a tape deck, which is I'm guilty of, even still, or an old cell phone that suddenly your cell phone carrier tells you they're no longer going to support, things like that. Well, with Sage Intacct, you don't have to worry about it. And what's interesting here is, of the 5 logos you see on this nonprofit accounting grid, the 5 biggest players in nonprofit accounting, 2 of those 5 have in recent months been attacked by ransomware. And 2 of those same 2 are also not the latest, greatest technology. So I think that there's a lot of security and safety that goes with the latest generation of technology as well. So back to what we do here at JMT, as I said, we are a small independent business. We're small enough that you get personalized service. We're small enough that if you come to one of our conferences, very likely we're going to know you by name and smile when we greet you. But we're also partnering with these large multi-billion-dollar software technology services solutions, and we're large enough to handle any scope or size of implementation that you may have, whether you're a small FQHC with only 1 or 2 people in finance or a bigger one with 10 or 15 people in finance. We're able to handle your project. So our process works like this. We understand there are steps. We don't believe this idea that you just go live and that's the end of it. That's just one step. We want to get you to that step, but after that you may look at other things, and you're going to continually evolve. And even after the project's over, 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, you may look back and say, we started changing. We found a whole new area of funding that we didn't account for in our original chart of accounts design. That's okay, because JMT will help you. But what we want to do is first have a highly focused scope with immediate results, getting you live on your GL, AP, cash management as soon as we can. And then we're going to do short-term successes there and couple it with that long-term planning. And our award-winning client services ensures that we can take you through this entire process. And it doesn't really end, as I say, with these phases. It's an ongoing thing, and we want to partner with you for the long haul. So what we do in our implementations is we give you a flat fixed fee. We don't do change orders. You don't have to worry about an hourly rate and about us billing you for more hours than we originally estimated. None of that. You have a dedicated project manager. We use project management tools like Smartsheet. We have a project designer, and then we have an array of comprehensive training options. And we provide different choices for you, from the less expensive choices where you have a lot of online pre-recorded training to more comprehensive choices of training where you work with one of our consultants or trainers for multiple days of personalized training. We also help with integration assistance. If you're pulling in a GL file from your EHR, for example, we can help with that. We have a program that we're calling Jumpstart, where we're able to take you all the way on the far left, the fastest and sort of least complex implementation, and then all the way to the right is the comprehensive. And so the idea is if you need speed, if you need to get live quickly because maybe you're on a legacy accounting software and you can't take the risk any longer of being on an on-premise tool, we can help you. But if you want to take your time and do it at some other interval, whether it's 45 days or all the way up to a few months, we can help you with that as well. So we have introductory pricing here. For the smallest, least complex one of them, you can see that we can get you going on a tool like Sage Intacct for less than $1,000 a month. And obviously it goes up from there. You may want to go with a more complex option. You may be bigger than what we're estimating here. But the idea is we can get you into a tool like this for very affordable pricing. So just keep in mind that as the customization or the complexity goes up, you know, the timing is going to go up as well. And so JMT's choices and options work for you wherever you are on this continuum. So as I said before, our unique value is being your partner for the long term. We understand technology changes. When Jackie started our business back in the early 90s, she jokes about in those days to help an organization get accounting software installed, she would have to show up with a box of 20 giant floppy disks and put them in and watch them go. And it would literally be hours of watching the computer spin as it installed those floppy disks. So that was the latest, greatest technology at that time. So as things change, JMT is always going to be here for you, monitoring what's out there in the marketplace. And we're always going to be your partner. We're always going to help you leverage the right technology solution for your organization. And so we do that with some of the things you see here. We have ticket tracking systems for our support team. We have a library of training resources. We have our own conference. We had to cancel it this year due to COVID. Hopefully we won't have to do that next year. We have our own conference where you can come and do training and you can network and meet people and get CPE credit and all kinds of other things. So we are truly here for the long haul, and we don't want to just be a partner who helps you implement and then you never see us again. We are truly your lifelong partner. And I'll leave you with a quote from one of our clients who really talked about us becoming a part of their mission. And it's true. We came out and actually had multiple employees that have participated in a fundraising event for this particular organization. So we really do feel that our clients become part of our family and we become part of theirs. So this kind of sums up what you're getting with JMT, and we really appreciate your time today. I'll open it up now. Megan, are you seeing any questions come through?
Well, Andy, thank you so much for that great presentation over Sage Intacct and how it's such a great fit for the FQHC space. I don't see any questions so far, but that is a great reminder. We're going to open it up to questions now. So if you do have any questions about any part of the webinar today or anything over Sage Intacct, you can submit those questions into the Q&A section on your control panel, and we'll go ahead and read those out to Andy now. So we'll go ahead and wait just a couple more minutes now for any questions that come through.
Thank you. As we're waiting for them, I will say I want to give a special thank you to everyone who works in community health. What a trying, awful time this has been these past few months. I know I spoke to someone at a community health center who was on a legacy technology solution that also got attacked by ransomware and was literally down, and they couldn't even operate out of their software for like a month in the heart of the worst time of this COVID crisis. And so I see signs in yards and things that say, thank you, healthcare workers, but all of you, the finance department at a community health center, you are really doing wonderful things to support communities all across the United States. So we do appreciate that very much. I don't see any questions coming through, and that's okay. We can certainly answer if anybody has any questions after this. We're happy to get those answered as well. Megan, what's the next step for you in terms of following up with everybody here?
Yeah, great question, Andy. Thanks for bringing that up. So I'm looking forward to connecting with each one of you following today's webinar. I'd love to get connected with you for a more personalized discussion to learn more about your FQHC and how we can serve your specific needs through Sage Intacct and the Jumpstart program. So I'll be reaching out to everyone following today's webinar as early as, right after the webinar and this afternoon, hoping to get in contact with you. So please, I'll be looking forward to connecting with every single one of you.
All right. Well, Thank you so much, everyone. We appreciate you spending some of your day with us.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and conclude today's webinar. So we hope everyone has a great rest of the day and looking forward to talking to each one of you soon. Thank you.